and we're so thankful to have Mrs. Bullock. We've already had a number of people talk about how much they love you and have been looking forward to you. Several people have been saying, where is Mrs. Bullock? We can't wait to see her. So we are so glad that you are here to be able to talk about this. And the first thing we should probably establish is, how long is this course? How many lessons are in this course?
Well, this course is only 90 lessons. It is not a full year course, because a lot of times you have government and economics together.
Very good. Fantastic. Well, of course, government's really important for 12th graders to learn. Is it particularly important for like these 18-year-olds to learn about American government?
Oh, absolutely. This is the time that you are just about to go out into the world and either go on to college or go out into the workforce. It is right before you basically are an adult and you get a chance to vote. You have the opportunity to be involved in the politics and things like that. So for you to know about this stuff is vitally important. It's important so that you can make educated decisions, so that there are good representatives that are in Washington.
Absolutely, yes. And you just can't imagine as an 18-year-old going to vote and working through all of these issues if you haven't had an American government course.
Exactly. And even with an American government course, it can be very intimidating to vote for the first time. I remember when I went with Drew to vote, he was like, okay, what am I supposed to do again? What am I doing? And when it made me think back to the first time I voted, and it can be very intimidating. So we actually have a segment that interviews people that have voted recently for the first time, college students, that just give you their experience of what happened, so that you have a little bit of an idea of what to expect.
That's very good. That's fantastic. Now, I can imagine a lot of 18-year-olds, it hasn't dawned upon them that they're going to have this responsibility. So they might be thinking, American government, this is going to be boring. Do you do anything to try and engage these 18-year-olds to show them, to create interest and engage them in the subject?
Well, yes, I do, because I do know that it's gotten a bum rap, because government actually is so incredibly important and fun, actually, because it is something that actually pertains to you. And so I try to make it as engaging as possible. What I do is the very first thing that I do in each lesson is I pose a question that was given the lesson before at the end, and I pose that question, and it's basically the question of the day. And I have different people. One is Pete, and he is an employee here. Mm-hmm. I have Betty, who's actually my assistant, and Will, who is a couple different people here in the building. And what I do is I ask them to answer the question. And so I read their answers, and believe me, Pete, Betty, and Will don't always agree. And it gives you the opportunity to see that people can disagree, and it's okay. And it gives you a different perspective, a perspective of something that you might not agree with. But that it is okay. You accept that they think differently than you do. And so I do that. I also try to have as many projects as possible, that you'll be making a video with your phone. The camera on your phone where you can videotape something. Well, you'll actually be doing some of that, where you'll be using your smartphone I was trying to think of what it was called. It's like,
I don't
what is
have
it
mine
called?
with me.
I
was
can't
was gonna
use
pull it
the
out, but I
word.
don't have my cell phone with me.
I'm not allowed to use the word, so smartphone. You'll be using your smartphone and you'll be interviewing people and you'll be making a little montage of different answers. And things like that, things that really touch you where you are.
Very good. That is fantastic. Now, what are some of the things that you do to help high schoolers master this content? Because that American government book, even though it's only 90 days, is almost as thick as the ones for 180 days.
Absolutely. Well, I try to bring everything back to the Constitution, because the Constitution really is the basis of our country. If you understand what the Constitution is saying, then you can really use it as a gauge of whether the government is doing something right or wrong. It is amazing how many times my husband in the last administration would say, I can't believe that they are doing this. And I would be just sitting there eating and saying, well, they're not allowed to do that. It's against the Constitution. And he's like, well, they're doing it. I was like, they're not going to get away with it because it's against the Constitution. And sure enough, they would be stopped. And I would tell everybody to calm down. Can't do that because it's against the Constitution. So if you understand the Constitution, that helps immensely. And you'd be amazed at how many times I quote it. I go back and say, well, Article 2, Section 3, or Article 1, Section 2, Clause 7, and that type of thing. I bring everything back to the Constitution so that there's a good basis.
Very good.
So.
Well, that is fantastic. Well, thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
taking time to be with us and explaining this course. It really is critical for 18-year-olds to get a hold of this material and master it. And so thank you so much for taking the time to teach it and taking the time to be with us today.
Sure.
Really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Well, have a good afternoon.
You too.